Mayor, point of order, will you just turn the mic on?
Thank you. Sorry, I thought it was on. Is that better? Can y'all hear out there? Okay, next item on the agenda is invocation. Grady, are you available to do invocation?
Yes, Mayor.
All right, please stand.
Oh, Father God, we come this evening with much thanks, much gratitude. We thank you for your presence. We thank you for your wisdom. We thank you for your power. We ask, oh God, as leaders, that you will help us to use the authority you have given us responsibly. We pray for the guidance and direction of our city, for the protection of our citizens. We ask, God, that you will continue to guide us in a way that it will benefit the whole and not just a few. All in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. All right. Our next item on the agenda is mayor and council community recognition and events. This time, Chief LaCroix, are you here? Would you come forward, please? Okay, go ahead.
Mayor and council, I come before you today to recognize the exemplary actions of 5 individuals which occurred the morning of May 18th, 2021. Their collaborative actions resulted in a positive outcome for an individual who was experiencing a significant medical event. The action of these individuals were brought to my attention by the responding officer in charge, Captain Michael Angel. I feel it's only appropriate that I read his memo aloud. That I would like to, this is Captain Angel, I would like to bring to your attention the good work and benefit of having paramedic engines. On the morning of May 18th, Engine 611 responded to a breathing difficulty on Lamar Street. Upon arrival, we were escorted to a female patient by her daughter, who was approximately 13 years of age. The patient was unresponsive with very shallow and rapid respirations. Firefighter paramedic Connor Marshall began assisting with respirations, while firefighter paramedic Tanner Smith administered terbutaline. The patient vitals were assessed using our Zoll monitor. Firefighter paramedic Marshall added an inline nebulizer to the BVM, all prior to care flight's arrival. We then assisted with transport to the ambulance, and one of the firefighter paramedics remained with the patient and care flight's crew during the transport to the hospital. I believe that there were 2 things that led to the patient's direct survival. The first is the daughter being awake and knowing to call 911. Secondly, was the treatment and care provided by our crew on Engine 611. I would recommend that this call be taken into consideration for a life-saving award for the members of Engine 611 on that day. So after reading this, I also, he believes also, if it's appropriate, that some acknowledgement be given to the daughter as well. So after reading and reviewing the memo and reviewing the call and the 911 tapes, I agree with Captain Angel's assessment. The patient, Ms. Hannah Rickman, who is in attendance with us this evening, was truly experiencing a life and death medical event the morning of May 18th. If not for the action of Ms. Rickman's daughter, Jalea Mims, who knew to call 911 and then calmly provide the dispatcher with the information needed to send the appropriate response, Ms. Rickman's outcome would have been questionable. Equally as important was the response and the treatment she received from TFD's Engine 611, which was staffed by Captain Michael Angel, driver engineer Joey Bush, firefighter paramedic Connor Marshall, and firefighter paramedic Tanner Smith. As y'all may recall, a year ago this month, the fire department increased its level of certification, from the Texas Department of State Health Services BLS certification to ALS certification. This increase in certification, along with the hiring and training of certified paramedics, which we have presently 13, has allowed us the ability to advance the level of care that we may provide our citizens prior to the arrival of a transport unit. In Ms. Rickman's situation, our paramedics utilized 3 different medications early on to treat her asthma attack and resolve her ability to breathe once again on her own. As a paramedic with now over 30 years of experience in emergency medical services, I have no doubt that Julia's access of our 911 system and Engine 611's advanced medical response were both a contributing factor to Ms. Rickman's survival on that day. So at this time, I would like Ms. Rickman, Jalea, and the crew of 611 to come forward to be recognized.
Council, as we think about what we do and the decisions that we make, and we fund different departments within the city, the fact that Chief LaCroix came to us and requested funding and we were able to give that to you, thank you, because if we hadn't have gone to ALS, this probably wouldn't have happened. Is that safe to say? So on the fire department, for your actions, thank you so much for your brave getting there when called upon. Thank you. Thank you. And we have some gift cards for you guys. There you go. And I think Allison's going to want to take a quick photo probably.
We have a couple of items that
we have some more? Okay.
Julia, on behalf of the fire department, the mayor, and also our dispatch center, we want to present you with this award, along with this cherishable coin. And if that's not good enough, dispatch also did this for you.
If you leave anything, leave the popcorn. Again, thank you so much. You bet. Allison, you don't get. Yes. Rickman, you got yours? I got one. Okay, good. The Rickman name is synonymous to Terrell, just like the Carmonas or Rogers. We all go back, probably know each other. So I remember seeing a feed on Facebook about something and requesting prayer that in and around that date. And I don't know if that was you who posted that or someone that posted something on Facebook. Thank y'all very much.
Awesome. All right, we go to Terrell. Oh, yeah. Get on that program, get that whole program put. Carry this.
So I think next, Becca Anderson would like to come forward and introduce someone to us.
Good evening, and thank you, Mayor and Council. We're back again. That's a great place to be where we're at right now at the library. I'd like to introduce the newest member of the library staff, Janie Cardona. Ms. Cardona is the new Adult Services Librarian and the third degreed librarian to join our team. This is the first time in the history of the library that we have 3 degreed librarians on staff. We are doing great things and moving forward to better serve the community. Janie comes to us from San Juan, Texas, and as of 2 weeks ago, she is a resident of Terrell. Yes, she received her bachelor's as well as her master's degrees from UNT Denton. She has completed 4 internships at the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C., and brings with her a wealth of invaluable knowledge. She's been here only a week and has already done a fantastic job. Thank you for making it possible for us to fill this position and bring in someone with her education to join our team. She's a great addition. She's going to be so helpful to all of the staff. So,
Jenny, is there anything you'd like to say?
Thank you for this opportunity here, and I'll do my best to provide excellent services that the library is already providing.
Well, welcome to the city of Terrell on behalf of the mayor and the council. Council, do you have any words for Ms. Cardona, not Carmona?
yeah.
I had an opportunity to say hello before the council meeting.
Mama, come back and.
Rebecca, I want to say thank you for all your efforts with the library. I keep hearing good things about what's going on there, so good job. Thank you.
I'm going to say I had to be educated about where San Juan, Texas is. So could you educate the rest of the community?
Yes, it's actually an 8-hour drive from here. It's South Texas, so the Rio Grande Valley.
Wonderful.
Thank you for coming here.
Okay. You're welcome. Are there any other recognitions or events that council or staff needs to bring to mind?
Mayor and Council, I think it's appropriate to say we had a wonderful event out at Breezy Hill over the weekend. So I want to thank Glenn Caldwell's team, some of the other support staff. It was a good showing by the Terrell Police Department out there. Really nice event at Breezy Hill. Breezy Hill Park always does a wonderful job putting that event on. And we were able to honor former Mayor Francis Anderson. A very nice ceremony there. I keep forgetting that I'm supposed to say a hello from Dr. Michael Anderson to Steve Rogers. And he actually had good things to say about Steve Rogers. I was impressed by that. And then I would also say that people might be wondering why there are balloons behind Mayor Rick Carmona. So do I get to do the duty of saying?
Nobody heard a word.
So I
Start
was
over.
explaining that I was born in Miami in 1970, and it's going to take a while to get through the rest of it. I was saying that it's a wonderful event at Breezy Hill, and we got to honor former Mayor Francis Anderson, and great job by the Breezy Hill Association sponsoring and organizing that event. The other item was, I'm not sure if it's delegated me to do this or if there's anyone else who would like to say anything about it, but the balloons behind Mayor Carmona indicate that this weekend he aged and he has gained another year of life, and that's a wonderful thing.
And I will say that I know for sure he's a hardworking mayor, because when he realized that his birthday and the Juneteenth celebration were following on the same weekend, he immediately changed some plans that he had so that he could be out at Breezy Hill Park. So thank you to the mayor for doing that. And I believe there's also a little gift that has been arranged.
Oh, my.
Should I look in it and see if it's alive? I have to check at my house and ask if it's alive
Right.
before I open it, so there you go.
So I'm going to wait and open this in executive. Is that all right? Thank y'all so much. I appreciate it. You know I don't like being recognized, and we'll talk about that when we get done with the meeting. But thank you. One other thing that I did want to mention is that on July the 4th, we're going to have fireworks, not at Ben Gill this year, but at the airport. So for those listening and those wondering, the event is going to occur. It's just changing locations. And we welcome all of our residents and those in and around the city of Terrell to come out and join in those festivities on July the 4th. Our next item on the agenda is to hear remarks from visitors. Do we have any, Don? All right. We're going to go ahead and discuss Terrell Citizens Police Academy. Chief, if you'd come forward.
Mayor, Council, thank you for letting me revisit this. Because of COVID, we weren't able to do it. We'd like to go ahead and get it started again. And I'm going to invite y'all to help recruit for that. I've left some applications with Dawn. And just as a refresher, the Citizens Police Academy is designed to educate and build relations with the public. All the lectures and hands-on classes are taught by the actual officers. It gives the community a good chance to get to know who they are and to have one-on-one with them. It'll run, right now it's set for Thursday evenings, once a week for 10 weeks with a graduation ceremony. Who can attend? I think that's the next slide, yeah. Citizens who reside or work in the city of Terrell, 18 years of age, high school graduates at least, possess a valid driver's license, successful, complete just a basic cursory background check. The first class will be comprised of 4 persons from each council district that you recommend to us. So these would be people who you believe would be good, well connected with the community, who are interested in learning about police operations and why we do what we do, and also somebody that can graduate and serve as an alumni or a liaison between us and the community in the future. The next page is just a brief example of some of the classes that we'll be going over. We'll do I think 2 classes or 2 topics a night, try to get them finished within the 9-week period, and then the last week is a graduation. We hope to get applications turned in by July the 16th. That will give us time to go over them, contact the folks, tell them what's going on, answer any of their questions, and then start a class on Thursday, August 5th, and it would run through to a graduation on October the 7th for the first class. Any questions about?
Well, is that a 16-member class or a 20? Are you including the mayor in there? I see council, but I didn't see anything about mayor.
The mayor should attend, yes.
Well, no, I meant as far as recruits.
It's 20.
Candidate.
It's
There's 20?
It's
Okay.
20,
I just
yeah,
wanted to make
yeah.
sure. So here's what the mayor's willing to do on my 4 is there's 4 different council members. So if you have an additional person that you would like in your district to attend, please let me know and we can work that out so that we have the 20 that the chief's looking for this class. So it's a good community builder. It's important for not only the mayor but also the council to get involvement and
our citizens engaged in what's happening within the city so that they know firsthand, not secondhand, what our Terrell Police Department is all about. I'm so thankful for your leadership and the direction that the police department is going. You know, no one's perfect, and it's difficult times right now nationally, but y'all are doing a great job, and look forward to this class getting
Thank you.
kicked off.
So Mayor and Council, it's always good to say what something is not. You can tell from the name, it's a class where you get to learn more about what the police department does. It's not a board that oversees or advises the police department, so I don't want somebody going into it with that expectation. What you're looking for here is people who want to learn more about what the police department's doing and who could really potentially be, as the police chief said, you're looking for people who would be a really good liaison out in the community in the future. And that's kind of a core thing for your philosophy when you're looking at who to recruit here. Just be mindful of that. We had some discussion over the course of the COVID period of time about, gosh, can we get this moving? Can we get this moving? And we never wanted to put that awkward step forward of doing it during COVID. Now we've got lots of people vaccinated, going to be a very nice, safe, and healthy environment for us to move through. So just be thinking about it, and you can get names to the chief, you can get names to Dora, and she'll get them to the chief, and we'll just start working through that recruiting process. So.
Just to recap, you said it's August the 5th on Thursdays from 7 to 9.
And that's not
So
set in
October.
stone. I mean, we could change that, but just to kind of get my officers tuned up to who's going to instruct what and when. That's kind of what we said. But
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Chief, I have one additional question. There are community members who, want to spend more time with our law enforcement, learn about our law enforcement, and was recently asked about coffee with a cup, which led me to think about National Night Out. And maybe, those individuals will be some of the names I'll bring forward since they're willing to learn and be supportive of our department. Do we have plans to do like a coffee with a cup or National
We
Night
have
Out?
done that in the past, and now that things are opened up, we would do them again, yes. And then the graduates that go on from this can certainly help us with organizing National Night Out events. We've done them in the past. It takes a lot of manpower and planning to do those. So a lot of the folks who graduate from the Citizens Police Academy can come back and help as volunteers and help with VIP things, and also sit on, like an advisory board where we could meet quarterly and just talk about issues and discuss things that are going on either within the city or different neighborhoods or just nationally. It's a good place to come and talk and get your questions answered and go one-on-one and find out that we're people too.
No, that
You got to stay on
appreciate
this
those
side.
additional points too. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Thank you, Chief. Our next item on the agenda is discuss award for professional services to design water main replacements in East Moore and water and sewer main installations in 6th Street. Keska?
Yes, sir. This project, these projects, there's two different areas and two different drivers for these. And in looking at the UCR and some projects and how schedules and opportunities to fit this in, I believe we could start this year. So what we've done, we've negotiated a price with McManus & Johnson. They've done work on Westmore, over in the Mike Cronin Business Park for Apache Trail paving, Temple Street. So they've done some projects with us. They're getting familiar with the town and our procedures. They have extensive water and sewer main replacement experience as well. So on page 11, if I could talk through a map, try to explain what this design along East Moore entails and what's driving it. The gist of it is we want to look at replacing the 10-inch main between New 34 to Birch Street. There's a large section of this main that's actually in, not just TxDOT right-of-way, but actually in the westbound lane of traffic. And we've had numerous breaks. It's an old main, and so the intent is to replace it with a 12-inch. So get it upsized, get it relocated out of the lane of traffic over near the right-of-way. The right-of-way is pretty wide and actually gets into the parking lots over there and the approaches. So the gist of it is we need to replace an aging infrastructure and get it out of the TxDOT lane of traffic. That's kind of the section along Eastmore. One of the things I need to mention, there is a section right around Gardner, and then going to the east to the drainage ditch. There's sections of this main have been replaced. So if it's called out on the map, there's like a 600-foot section between New 34 and Gardner, and then there's another 1,500 or so foot section from that drainage ditch to Birch. So we're looking at about 2,100 feet approximately. And so basically just entails working with TxDOT, getting survey, getting out there, and the intent would be to take this to about a 90% design, and then we would negotiate final design once we had a good solid plan for construction. It is intended to borrow some money, either in FY '22 or '23, depending on funds, sources. So that's why we're funding most of this to take it to a point that we'll be ready to award it pretty quickly once we set a construction schedule.
Okay.
Any questions on that section? Okay. Yes. There are some flat areas along TxDOT right-of-way. And those, we will be tying in each of those side streets, connecting to side mains and so forth, and it will give us an opportunity to get some survey data, and there may be, as we're relaying some of this main and then redoing paving and grading, there may be an opportunity to improve some of that drainage along there. Not sure. Technically, that's a TxDOT responsibility. It's their road, but it's a pretty flat area. But when we move this out of the lane of traffic and get it over there to the north side, there may be some opportunities to reshape some paving a little bit and get some drainage a little bit better, which
It's a good thing.
is a good point.
Anytime we can do that, yes.
We'll get plenty of survey data. And then the second area along 6th Street between Lawrence and Main, and then 7th Street there on page 13, there's a map, there's a little yellow dashed box there that shows this area. This is driven by something totally different, and it's basically development opportunities and then some gaps in the system. 6th Street, you'll notice between Lawrence and Main, there's no water or sewer at all. In 7th, there's a water main part of the way, and there's no sewer. And we've had somebody that has come in and has bought a lot, interested in developing it. And to his somewhat mistake, he bought the lot without realizing there's no services to this area. And we recognize there's gaps in the system, and so we're looking at trying to evaluate the best way to serve this area. There's a potential to develop about 5 lots that are not developable right now. And we've had some interest a couple of different times over the last few years, and so I think it's a good opportunity to get survey data in this area and take a look at it. And what we can do is actually build this in phases, build part of it to serve more of an immediate need, and as a developer may come in for some other lots, then we'll have a design and a plan ready to extend the water and sewer in the area on both 6th and 7th as needed.
Excuse me, where are those lines missing? Is that Lawrence and 6th Street? What did you say?
Yeah, Lawrence and 6th, if you look at that intersection, along Lawrence, there's a blue line and a red line. The red sewer Blues Water, and you see the little stub out to the, kind of the northeast. And then there's a sewer manhole, so that line that was built in Lawrence, the water line, had a stub out with the plan. At some point, will connect to this line and then go up towards Maine. But along Sixth Street, there's nothing. There's no blue or red, so there's no service out there at all. And, so, any other questions on that?
So I would just say, and actually, I think this could be in my district. It's right on a district line, but that is an oddity. I did not know that we didn't have service there. It is just peculiar. So if we can remedy the situation, that would be great. Those are some streets that could use some redevelopment and some infill.
There's an opportunity.
Infill thing. So
If there was water and sewer.
right. So I guess this is me saying, hey, I support the project, and I always kind of wondered what was the problem with those lots. So that's my encouragement to kind of shuffle that one through the system as we can.
And Mayor and Council, I'll say this is part of a little bit of strategy by staff here.
You'll bring this back to us?
Yes, sir. This will come forward next week for authorization or consideration. Right now, as it sets, the not-to-exceed amount is $237,100, and that's for both areas.
Is there any additional information that we would require from staff before our next meeting? Anyone? All right, thank you. At this time, if there's no objection, the mayor would like to suspend the rules and move that we move executive session up to our next item. Is there any objection? Hearing none, we're going to move into executive session. This should be pretty quick for everyone. We're going to adjourn into executive session in accordance with Section 551 of the Texas Government Code to discuss the following. Section 551.072, deliberation regarding real property. Section 551.087, deliberations regarding economic development negotiations. We're going to do that here.
We should.
Okay, yeah, so Grady can.
Sorry, Steve. Not too bad for an executive session. Not too long.
This is good. I'm trying to get us, I know, I didn't want it to. All right. This time, we're going to reconvene into regular session and consider action, if any, on items discussed in executive session. Is there a motion?
I make a motion to authorize the city manager to negotiate along with the mayor to execute an agreement with R&R Design in accordance with the recommendation of the Terrell Economic Development Corporation.
Thank you, Councilwoman. We have a motion from Mayor Ronnie Velazquez, Deputy Mayor Pro Tem District 3. Is there a second?
Second.
Have a second from Grady Simpson, District 2. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries. Our next item on the agenda is to discuss and consider work authorization 19 for professional services related to FM 148 North Project. This is Steve Rogers. Thank you for waiting, Steve. Sorry about that.
We were almost finished out there too, Mayor, so.
Okay.
We discussed this last week. We have a work authorization excuse me, on page 25 of your agenda is this map that I have here, and this is FM 148 North. I'm gonna walk around, I'm gonna bring this with me.
Okay.
Don't get mad at me here. This is the Exxon Denny's, this is Spur 557, this is FM 148. And this is the apartments, Heather Lane, Tiffany Square out here, DPS office is here. So when the project's complete, we purchased the green land to give the yellow to TxDOT for drainage easements, and it leaves this blue TxDOT area that's surplus. Plus, we created, because of the way the project went, and we moved this ramp over, we created a couple of surplus corners here. And so our intention has always been, since we started this project, to obtain those, the blue area and the two pink corners when the project was complete. The only way we could start that process was when the project was accepted by TxDOT. Excuse me, now that that's occurred, we have a work authorization from Robert Kistner, who has been with us for many years on these pass-through projects in the amount of $71,000 not to exceed. And that's broken into the following major tasks. I'm gonna go, and they're subbing most of this to an outfit called Pinnacle Consulting Management Group. They're a right-of-way acquisition group, and on agenda page 32, they're 56,000 of this 71,000. They have it broken into three major tasks: surveying and mapping, 20,000; appraisal services, 14,100; and acquisition services in general, $21,900. Those total $56,000 not to exceed. We don't expect them to reach that amount, but they put that in there as our agreement because we wanted not to exceed. And then the last page after that is the oversight and management from Robert Kistner through this project, not to exceed $15,000, which will be billed by hourly cost that they have. So the total not to exceed amount for work authorization number 19 for acquisition of the surplus FM 148 and Spur 557 parcels is $71,000. And with that, Mayor, I'll answer any questions.
Thank you, Steve. Yeah, no, we've been looking at this for some time. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Rogers?
Steve, after we obtain the property, hopefully, what would we do with that property?
We have, that's a good question. The blue property, we have water and sewer in it right now, and so we'd like to maintain control, be able to mow it and maintain it better than it has been, so we can maintain our own facility. There's major drainage cutting through here, so we want the ability to get in there if we need to make sure that the drainage stays open. And on the pink corners, if we don't obtain those, then these private property owners could obtain them. And so I think the last thing we want to do is see this facility expand right here. So we need to take control of these, and it does have a small attachment to the Economic Development Corporation property, and this is something we've considered building a city facility right here behind that as well, potentially. So that could provide some additional property into it. The other is really just drainage as it is right now. There's not a particular use right now that we have, but we want to control that area, not to have it be bought up by a private individual and create a problem for us.
Okay, thanks, Steve.
Anyone else? Thank you, Steve. So this is a discuss and consider. Again, this is a not to exceed number of $71,000. Is there a motion?
Mayor, make a motion that we approve the work authorization number 19 for professional services related to the FM 148 project with a not to exceed number of $71,000, and this item is described fully in 7.1 agenda item.
Thank you, Councilman. We have a motion from Tim Royce, Mayor Pro Tem District 5. Is there a second?
Second.
Have
I
a
second.
second from Mayor Ronnie Velasquez, Deputy Mayor Pro Tem District 3. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion will carry. Item number 7.2, discuss and consider professional service contract for the design of a water main in North Blanche Street from Eastmore to East High Street. McKeska?
Okay, I'm gonna come around here and talk from this map real quick. So this project and the next are both related to the CDBG grant project for the sewer. We negotiated two separate scopes. We talked about this last week. Councilwoman was out, and so you may have a little interest in this. This first item for consideration is a water contract, and that is to do work in Blanche from Moore to High. It is this portion here. And it parallels some other work with the sewer. And while we're doing work in this area, we have an old 4-inch water main that cuts down here, gets into private property. We need to clean all that up, put an 8-inch and get down here. And we're looking at doing a little bit actually of the 12-inch that I talked about on East Moore. We can go ahead and tie that in with this, and then we'll pick up the East Moore design right here and go to the west towards, or east towards Birch, excuse me. And so this contract is specifically associated with this purple line to replace the little blue line, and it's only right there. And the reason for this separation is our grant administration consultant, Public Management Inc., said that they do not like trying to mix funds between water and sewer. Okay, and said the best thing to do, keep it totally separate. It keeps the grant clean. They track the sewer cost, related cost. And so this is an opportunity that we see to work on this at the same time, work in the same area, get this cleaned up, get the water line improvements done. So that's the scope of work. We negotiated with, or selected, excuse me, Freeze and Nichols initially as part of the CDBG project, and then we negotiated this with them. And so staff's recommending to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract not to exceed $64,682 with Freeze and Nichols for this section. And it would be funded out of the utility capital reserve.
64,642, you said?
64,682.
Okay. And just for clarification, when we are doing the separation of the projects, we're not in any way trying to re-establish the work that we need to get done in this area, right? So it's just that we're separating the funds that we're using for the two projects.
We're separating the funds, but we also have been advised not just to have a separate design contract, but to actually establish and bid the water contract separately as well. And that's, and truthfully, that's part of what drives the cost up, because Freeze and Nichols has to duplicate design for water here, design for sewer. They have to have the specs for each and do the bidding and the, you know,
I just meant
all the
for a city, it's still a
evaluation.
priority for us moving forward to get the water and the sewer done.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Okay. You might have any questions, comments?
Mike, is this a like for like? Is there any upgrades, any cutoffs added to the system here? Or is this just kind of just replacing old lines?
I'm not sure exactly what you're asking about cutoffs.
The size of anything
We're-
or the improvement over current.
We're upgrading from a 4-inch to an 8-inch.
Okay.
And then the other short section of old 10-inch that crosses Blanche will be upsized to a 12. Okay, so there's upgrade and improvements to meet our current standard. And also plan, again, for the continuation down East Moore, going to the east towards Birch.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
And Mike, what is the project timeline?
This will be designed at the same schedule as the CDBG grant, which we will finish design later this year and bid the project no later than January is the schedule. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Hearing none, is there a motion on item 7.2?
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the professional services contract for the design of a water main on North Blanche Street from Eastmore to East High as described in 7.2 with a not-to-exceed dollar value of
$682.
$64,682.
Have a motion from Tim Royce, Mayor Pro Tem District 5. Is there a second? Have a second from Stephanie Holmes Thomas, District 4. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion will carry. Our next item on the agenda is 7.3, discuss and consider professional service contract for design of sewer main for the TxCDBG project. Again, Mike?
Come back over to the map real quick. This is also on page 51 of your package. But to discuss the sewer, so the sewer, where am I at? Currently the sewer comes from this drainage ditch up Blanche, cuts across, and then parallels 34, goes across, and then High Street to Delphine. So what we're looking at doing is beginning right here at this point, we'll be upsizing the sewer to a 12-inch, running along here, getting it away from this easement. There's also actually a designated wetlands right over there associated with the drainage ditch we found out. So we're trying to avoid all of that. Get over here in the street for accessibility. The intent, hopefully, we'll be able to keep this existing pipe and then run 10-inch on up there, up Delphine to Bryn. So just for a visual and explanation, and again, this is part of the CDBG award. It's a $500,000 award, and we again negotiated with Friesen Nichols. This is recommended. This was for design, developing the specifications, and going through bidding and award their services, an amount not to exceed $103,246 is what's being recommended. The grant covers about $104,000 or $5,000 in design. So basically, this is 100% design, grant covered, excuse me.
We should always take advantage of whenever we get a grant that's going to fund it all. But, you know, the CDBG is the Community Development Block Grant. Is that a federal? Or
Yes.
Yeah, right, okay. Does anybody have any questions?
Through the
I just clarify, CDBG money is federal money that comes to the Texas Department of Agriculture.
yeah.
We apply through the Texas Department of Agriculture, so it's a pass-through.
Okay.
I want to
Yes.
add at this point that this kind of goes back to your point a while ago, Tim, that we are upsizing the sewer based upon some previous studies that we did that were completed in 2015. We did wastewater prioritization. This was the third priority part of the third priority projects that we had in the city to upsize this sewer. And so it's a priority project from a previous study, so we're getting some traction from that, and we're also upsizing what's there now to provide more capacity in the system.
Oh, that's great,
All right. And again,
especially with such a high priority project.
again, council, this is not to exceed $103,246. Is there a motion on item 7.3?
Mayor, I move that we approve the professional services contract for the design of a sewer main for the Texas CDBG project as described in 7.3 with a not-to-exceed dollar value of $103,246.
Motion from Councilman Tim Royce, Mayor Pro Tem District 5. Is there a second?
I second.
Second from Stephanie Holmes Thomas, District 4. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion will carry. Item number 7.4, discuss and consider amendment number 1 for professional services for drainage improvements, evaluation for the Boone West End Mineral Wells Project. McKeska?
Okay, Mayor and Council, this was discussed last week and explained that this amendment is driven solely by further evaluation of drainage in this area, drainage needs. So a lot of survey work that we realized once we got into this and looked at the initial information. SBI came back and said, this is a really flat area, which we knew, and said, we need to get this right. And there was some further consideration by staff and city management to kind of look at this. This is also, the map on page 72 kind of shows the two areas. There's a dashed white area that was initial survey. The yellow area is a recommended expanded area that will actually further identify the grading, the elevations in this area, because the flow splits. We talked about how the flow splits to the west and the east, right along Bradshaw and West End in that area. And we want to make sure that we get the recommendations correct. And it also ties into Southwest Christian College, looking at that area and get some data around the detention pond and some of their property to kind of provide information. So the recommended amendment is $43,600. SPI has been working on this. The first phase of this and ties into the design of water and sewer on Boone Street. And this amendment would take the contract to not to exceed amount $87,400, and it would be funded from the UCR.
So do we need,
Recommendation is to authorize city manager to move forward with this.
do we need to change the not to exceed amount or update the not to exceed amount of 87,400 in the motion, or just the proposed
Well, it would be a revised contract amount not to exceed $87,400, I believe.
All right.
Mary Gail, is
So
that-
council, for clarity, do both, please. If you have a motion to include the 43,600 and then revise the not to exceed number to 87,400. We could do that. Thank you, Mike. Is there a motion on item number 7.4?
Mayor?
Yes, Mayor, may I make?
Oh, go on, Grady.
Go ahead,
Yeah,
Grady.
yes, Mayor. Okay, yes, Mayor, may I make a motion that we approve item 7.4, revising 43,600 and not to exceed $87,400.
Thank you, Councilman. We have a motion from Grady Simpson, District 2. Is there a second? Have a second from Stephanie Holmes Thomas, District 4. Is there any further discussion?
Hey, Mayor,
Yes.
I'd just like to appreciate the work Mr. McKesker and his team has done out in that area. It's been a lot of major complaints I've received over the few years, and I'm just so happy and grateful that is finally getting surveyed and worked on. Thank you so much.
You and I both, because I've heard it several times myself. So good we're getting some movement on it. So we
Yes,
have a
sir.
motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion will carry. Our next item on the agenda is to discuss and consider resolution number 1048, a resolution adopting policies in connection with the TxCDBG programs. McKeska.
Mayor and Council, this resolution is associated with the same CDBG project we're just talking about, the sewer project. And it's basically completing the requirements. The information was put together by Public Management, Inc., and it's to ensure that we meet all the regulations and requirements of the grant, and we don't have any hiccups or surprises. This resolution basically takes existing policies, and we are required each time we get a grant to either update, create, or reaffirm our policies regarding the housing program and the rights of individuals. And you'll see that the resolution is in both English and Spanish versions, same with the policies. And again, it's just a requirement of the grant, and it's keeping us out of trouble.
All right.
Questions?
So anybody have any questions? Hearing none, the mayor will entertain a motion on resolution 1048.
Mayor, I make a motion to approve resolution 1048.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Have a sec- Man, hold on. So, hey, that's the second time that they listening, are they listening? Why are they listening to our meetings? Let me turn it completely off. Hold on a minute. All right.
Somebody in Russia loves you.
Somebody does. So, we have a motion from Mayor Ronnie Velazquez, Deputy Mayor Pro Tem, District 3. Is there a second?
Second.
Have a second from Tim Royce, Mayor Pro Tem, District 5. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Item number 7.6 is to discuss and consider Resolution 1049, a resolution designating signature authorizations for community development block grant projects. Mr. McKeska.
Resolution 1049 is another, just a step in the process, grant that was awarded. Same grant, CDBG for the sewer project. And we're required to pass a resolution designating a signature authority. And so you'll see in the resolution that it sets forth that the mayor and city manager can be authorized to execute contractual and environmental documents. And then mayor pro tem, city manager, and city secretary can sign and execute payment vouchers and request for payment, different things that's outlined in that section. So, again, it's a requirement of the grant that public management says, do this, stay out of trouble.
All right, I want to take a minute, council, and just thank the staff for being on top of all the regulations associated with all of these grants. You know, we all wish it was simple and all you had to do was request funding, and it would be given to you, but there's steps involved. And then, like I always like to say about the city of Terrell, its staff, its council, everybody involved, legal, is that we are always on top of things. Now, this is probably gonna come back and bite me one of these days for me giving you the credit for doing this, but I really wanna say, hey, everything that I've ever seen with this organization since I've been mayor has really been impressive, and I hope we continue that moving forward. So is there a motion on item 7.6? We have a motion from Mayor Ronnie Velazquez, Deputy Mayor Pro Tem District 3. Is there a second? Have a second from Stephanie Holmes Thomas, District 4. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion will carry. Our next item on the agenda is 7.7. Discuss and consider resolution number 1050, authorizing a request for financial assistance from the Texas Department of Transportation Aviation Program. This is Mr. Rogers. All right.
Okay, so we went through this resolution is to authorize us to enter into an agreement with TxCDBG, provide our funding for an updated master plan for the airport. And so the map that I have up here is the master plan that we've been going by since 2005. And so this is the actual book right here. This is the actual master plan. It's got a bunch of maps and figures and exhibits in it, as well as a bunch of data and information. You go through a whole process of when you do this, of inventory, and you look at, you forecast what's gonna happen in your area, you look at your facilities, you look at alternatives, you look at a financial plan, and you develop a plan from that for your airport that has money attached to it. This is the money part of it that's attached with what I gave you. So basically what I gave you was an executive summary of this multi-page, multi-exhibit document. And it kind of boils down what we've been doing out there for the last 15 years. This is kind of your roadmap, your guide for improving your airport to make it better going forward. So this is what we did back in 2005. We developed these projects. You notice on your map that's in your executive summary, you have red, yellow, and blue. And those represent short-term, intermediate term, and long-term projects. Now, we've done everything on the red list. That's all been done. And right now, we're doing project number 2. If you can see the number 2 there, it's the taxiway project. We're finally doing that project. And also number 7, the blue project, we are rehabbing the runway. And that's the project we're currently doing right now. So we use this as a guide to follow what we're doing. What we've realized, and we've talked to Aviation about it, they think you should update your master plan probably every 10 to 15 years. So since we've reached past 15 years since this plan was adopted in 2005, we feel like this is the moment in time for us to update our master plan. And then we want to couple that with a business plan. So TxDOT will allow you to do a business plan, they'll fund it, and this is at 90-10. They provide 90% of funds, you put in 10% of the funds. The funds come from the airport fund, so from the airport capital fund, we're gonna budget $30,000. And that's what's in this ordinance in front of you, authorizing us to enter into an agreement with them, pay them our share of the money, and through that process, we will form a committee that will oversee this on your behalf, and then they'll kind of shepherd this process through. It'll be made up of city staff, airport board members, and maybe some other business and other community members. And they'll shepherd this thing through, and then they'll present you a report at the end of this that will follow the TxDOT guidelines. And then we'll have a business plan. A business plan's different. We've never done that. And the business plan provides you another roadmap, not only with facilities, but what is your airport, based on what they know and what your options are, what do you want to see your airport doing? Which way do you want to grow? What kind of business do you want to try to bring in or go after, and how do you market that and do that? That's all wrapped up in that business plan. And so we're excited, and they are very much excited for Terrell and Terrell Municipal Airport to do both of these plans at the same time and to carry this process forward. So with that, Mayor, I'll answer any questions at this point here for resolution number 1050.
What's the timeline for?
Well, it's a great question. We have to get funded first, which we anticipate being done in August at the Texas Transportation Commission. We have to develop a consultant selection committee, select a consultant. They hire that consultant once we recommend them. So we get to pick who we want to work with. And then they hire that firm, they have the contract with them, they pay them, they manage that whole process. And that's gonna take us well into the end of this calendar year to do that. So the planning in earnest will probably start January 22. It'll take at least a year to do it the right way. So I'm anticipating by the end of 22, early 23, we'll have an updated plan, business plan, master plan, and a marketing component to that to help us market the airport in the right way. And so these are all good components. We have some other miscellaneous things that I'll share more info with you. We're gonna discuss this in great detail on Friday afternoon at your budget retreat. And so I'll be talking in a lot more detail about the airport, all the capital projects, everything we're looking at going forward. And I can even speak more to this if need be.
Okay.
So with that,
So, yeah, Mayor and Council, I just want to be clear, tonight's step is just a resolution saying go apply for the funds, okay? So that's a simple step. A down the road thing I want to mention to you is remember that it won't just be your airport board reviewing all of this. One of the things that your tax increment finance district board of directors wants to be involved with and is in their overall capital plan is actually doing support for public improvements at the airport, right? We don't want to just do developer projects, we want to do airport projects. And so all of this work, part of the question is going to be, what's the role of the Tax Increment Finance District Board? And so there'll be a lot of discussion about that over the next year as well.
Well, you know what, I just think we're positioned well moving forward, having the Terrell Municipal Airport for the city. I know there's a lot of communities that wish they had something similar that they could promote, and we're going to do all we can regionally to help promote this thing and move it forward for the city of Terrell. Anybody have any other questions or comments?
Yes, Mayor.
Yes.
Uh, I just want to say this is something that that I had mentioned to Mr. Sims about a little over a year ago or so. And he kind of looked at me with a wink in his eye, said, Councilman, we got it. Don't worry about it. So I tell you what, Mr. Sims, I am so proud that that something is moving forward, because that's been one of my big concerns about our airport. I saw the potential there, and I'm so happy and grateful this is moving forward, and I support it 100%.
Also very excited to see a business plan being done with the updated municipal airport plan, and excited for the great things that can be done in the future. Thank you.
Steve, it sounds like we're all happy about it. And then I would ask maybe for maybe an email later or a sidebar, but it might be nice to know what was accomplished off the list and what was complete, what wasn't complete, and what just got omitted because of whatever reason.
Be happy to communicate that out. Obviously, this is a,
So I just think it's great to I think it's great to assess it on the backside of it.
2005, it was $15 million worth of work with about $5 million of that city obligation. So funding wise, we've not been able to do a lot of what's on the list, and maybe in the long term, that may be a blessing, because we can now refresh that and update and cast a new vision for the airport and fund what we want going forward. And some of these things may not have been the right path forward now in 2021 going forward. So.
Sure.
Okay. Again, the city's portion of it is $30,000.
It's budgeted in their current CIP at $300,000 with $270,000 state funds and $30,000 city funds. And so this resolution will authorize us to move forward.
Okay. Thank you, Steve. Is there a motion on item 7.7?
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve Resolution 1050 as presented.
We have a motion from Tim Royce, Mayor Pro Tem District 5. Is there a second?
I second.
A second from Grady Simpson, District 2. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion will carry. Item 7.8, discuss and consider fire department administration lease. Mr. Sims.
So, Mayor and Council, we discussed this in executive session a week or so ago. Basically, the rundown goes like this. We are going to move the Terrell Fire Administrative offices out of the airport building. We've been working on doing that for some time. That came at the request of TxCDBG because they wanted to see a bit of a change made there. We said okay. We embarked on a real estate search led by Shane LaCroix and Charles Fenner. They came up, as I discussed in executive session last night. I don't want to belabor the other alternatives, but the winning alternative was the building that a lot of people refer to as the old Terrell Tribune building on 9th Street across from Ben-Gill Park. That's currently got Premier Vision in one half of it, and the other half of it is empty. The basic rundown on the lease conditions is that we'd be doing a 38-month lease with the first 2 months that would be free. It's about 3,800 square feet of leasable space. It's about $4,500 per month. That makes it $54,000 per year, and that makes it at about a $14.12 lease rate. And we think it's got adequate space, not just for the staff people who would be out there, but the big key issue there, of course, was also having the space for us to interact with the public. During COVID, we've been using our fire department facility, administrative facility to do testing for COVID, to do vaccinations related to COVID. We still feel like that even though we have gone a long way to defeating and getting over COVID, we still need to make sure that we've got a presence for that, and this has got a front door reception area that we can use for those purposes. So we're very comfortable with this, and we'd like for you to ask for, or I'm asking you for permission to sign this lease and move forward with, again, a 38-month lease, first 2 months free, and then after that, it would amount to $54,000 a year.
So, the fire department was asked by by the Aviation, to move, out of its current facility. This lease will take us from August of 2021 through September of 2024. And I like the location in that, there's near the ballparks, it's near a, school. So that's a plus for the location.
Yeah, and Mayor, I'll tell you flat out, we have a third fire station location that we're working on, and it is generally on the west side of town. I think it helps quite a bit that this is, easy and quick access. We can get to Breezy Hill faster. We can get to Ben Gill faster. We can get to Walmart faster. We do have 3 paramedics who are in our administrative function. All of them have vehicles they can use to do a quick paramedic response. So I think it does help us. It won't be a firefighting facility, but the administrative staff there are trained paramedics, and they can do some responses, and I think that's going to turn out to be very useful.
All right, thank you. Does anybody have any further questions, comments?
Yeah, Mr. Sims,
Yes.
maybe I missed this part. Who owns that building?
I'd have to get that name off of this lease for you real quick. It's just a group of investors up in Rockwall. It's not a
Okay.
local owner.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, that's good.
It's a LLC.
Right, yeah.
59th Street,
Yeah,
LLC.
right.
Ms. Holmes?
Yeah, I just had a question.
Yes.
I know the fire chief will be there. Who else will be now?
Yeah, great question. So that's fire chief, it's the fire administrative assistant, so you're gonna know her as Brandy McFarland. It's gonna be our fire marshal and our emergency management coordinator, and it allows us to have room to expand because we are all very anxious to also get a deputy fire marshal on staff. That's not a funded position, but I wanted to make sure we had space for a future expansion there. And then, like I said, it's a training room and a reception area. If I do need to give COVID-19 shots, I can do that in this facility as well.
What hours are they gonna be there most of the time? Are those people mostly there 8 to 5?
That's an 8 to 5 operation, yes, ma'am.
Monday through Friday?
Yes, ma'am, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Any more questions? All right, council, what's your pleasure?
Mayor, I would make a motion that we authorize the city manager to enter into a commercial lease agreement with 159th Street LLC for a commercial lease of 38 months as described in item 7.8.
Have a motion from Tim Royce, Mayor Pro Tem District 5. Is there a second?
I second.
Have a second from Grady Simpson, District 2. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion will carry. Next item on the agenda is the Review Fire Department Monthly Report. Mr. Sims?
So Mayor and Council, I won't spend a lot of time on it, but we do like to give you a monthly report from the Terrell Fire Department and from the Police Department. You can see that they ran 282 EMS calls, 90 fire calls. So 372 calls means we are very, very busy. And I won't belabor it any more than that. You can see some of the other data in there. You can see our response times at the Baker Street Station. You can see our response times at Station Number 1. With your permission, Mayor, I'll hop right on over to the police report. Under the police report, it's always good news when you see a negative. Most of the financial reports we look at, negative bad. For the police department, negative is good because that means we had fewer crimes. So a really good looking set of crime statistics thus far this year. I won't go through all the details of it, but you can see that this particular report is set up so that you can see a series of different crimes, and they all have a this year and a last year. And so, for example, you can go down to the very bottom there, and you can say, okay, last year we had 83 total crimes through this date, and now, I'm sorry, in 348, said that wrong, 348 crimes through this period last year. So that's January through April, May, January, February, March, April, May. Oof. And then 289 this year. So that's a 20% reduction in crime thus far over the calendar year. Of course, that's going to fluctuate, so don't pin your hopes on that. That's a great set of statistics, great credit to the police department, and good progress so far this year.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mike. We're going to recess for 5 minutes.
You know, we should give a shout out to Fire Station number 1 for a 49-second turnout time.
Woo!
I mean,
Woo! I'm going to stay away from making any commitments about, yes, we're going to send those back. I don't know, because the whole point is I'm waiting for the last week to draw down before I get into
Mayor, we're back on.
Dawn, are we on? Okay.
Are we ready?
Yeah, we're on, yeah.
All right. We're back in the regular session. Our next item on the agenda is review April 2021 financials. Mr. Sims?
So Mayor and Council, I'm going to invite Jay Ayers to come up if he can drag himself away from Mike McKeska. Mike's asking for money for a project. Jay's trying to give you a financial report. All right, there you go. So, listen, I'm going to give kudos to Jay right at the start of this. You know, when Jay became finance director, we had this issue going of, well, I've got Mr. Ronsval, I've got a couple of clerks, I've got maybe 4 different consultant out-of-house staff working on different parts of this. Jay's been working very hard to get all of that coordinated and get his staffing set up so that we actually have a properly staffed finance department. I don't want to go into the details of that right now because that's not what this is about. But anyway, good thank yous for Jay, because it's been a lot of work trying to get the staffing set up so that he's fully supported in the finance area, and we're making progress every day on that. So thank you, Jay, and take it away.
All right. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I present to you the April 2021 financial report. On the memo, it kind of explains in detail the property tax revenue for the general fund. It looks like we got additional money, but that's not true. That's actually a part of the TIF. A portion of that money actually that's in the general fund right now will be transferred into the tiers number 1. And additionally, emergency management, what you'll notice is there's a significant expenditures in emergency management, but that's largely due to the vaccination hub. And I just want to say, you know, I want to thank those guys for their work. They're working pretty hard out there, just making sure that we get all the information we need to get the reimbursements from the county. If you turn to the next page on the general fund, this is your revenue expense, pretty much like a net income for April 2021. As you can see, we were in the negatives for the month, but overall, we for year to date, we have 5.7 million in the positive. Just going scan over some things with revenue. As you can see on property taxes, it shows a year-to-date actual of 9.5 million, but approximately 800,000 is going to come off the top to go into the TIF. With all the expenditures, we've expended approximately 54% of our expenditures, and I guess in the month of April, our revenues were coming in a lot quicker than our expenditures were going out, which is good.
So Mayor and Council, I'll also give you the preview that as you see these reports over the next couple of months, and some of you already know this, that May and June were both excellent sales tax months for us. So if you've kind of seen those numbers floating out there, we are very comfortable with where we stand on city sales tax moving forward for the rest of the year, because those 2 months were rather high. And as I mentioned to you, that's why we were able to recommend those additional street improvements. We talked about that last week, and that number doesn't show up on this page yet because those are the May and June sales tax numbers.
On the following page, you have a graphical breakdown, 2 pie charts. The one at the top is our budgeted revenue for FY 2021. The one on the bottom is just breakdown for April 2021. And what you'll see in that pie chart is the city sales tax and grants made a majority of the revenue for the month. The grant that we received was from the COVID-19 reimbursement from the Texas Division of Emergency Management. On the following page, it just gives you pretty much a expense budget breakdown by department, and the one on the bottom is it's shown in red on the bar chart. The red is the budgeted for each department, and the blue is the year-to-date actual. Nobody has gone over yet, so that's awesome. I have to go complaining to a department about being over budget. If you go to the next page, you have your property tax comparison for April. Right now, you're looking at 9.3 million for taxes current. This is all the data here is just for taxes current. It doesn't include the delinquent and penalties and interest portion of property taxes. The next page, you'll see the sales tax through April 2021. The year-to-date is 8.1 million, which is above what's been budgeted and approximately 500,000 more than what we had at in 2020 at this time last year. And then on the following page, you have the utility fund breakdown. Total revenue was 1.4 million, and total expenses were around 1.3 million. Net income for the month was 116,000. Everything is looking pretty good for the utility fund on revenues and expenses.
So, real quick, on the utility fund, is there a cushion that we use? Or is there
So Mayor and Council, that is a great question. Right now, we have about 80 days of reserve in the utility fund, if I remember that number off the top of my head correctly. You're going to hear on Friday a pretty lengthy discussion about what is the proper amount of reserve in the utility fund. Basically, the recommendations we get is to move our 80 days up to about 120 days of reserve in that fund. So just like the general fund, where we're trying to build up reserve to put ourselves in a better borrowing position, better position for growth, we do want to get to that 120-day number.
Is that indicated anywhere on here?
That's not on this page. We don't show you a fund balance on this page. If you ask us, I bet you Mike Matesk and Jay Ayers will challenge me on this. I'm going to tell you we have about $3.5 million in utility fund reserve right now.
I wonder if we could track that for the council as well, so get that data to us so we know where we are
Okay.
on that utility fund reserve. What our target is, what it should be, and how we're trending on that. Okay, go ahead.
Then on utility capital reserve, we netted $45,278 for the month of April. Have a lot of projects going on there in utility capital reserve. And then on the following page, storm water utility, we netted $55,000 roughly. And everything is pretty much on par. The year to date, we have 341,000 in the positive. And on the next page, you pretty much get a graphical breakdown of what's been budgeted for each project and the stormwater budget. And the red is the budgeted amount again, and the blue is what's been expended so far year to date. The equipment replacement fund is 53,000 in the positive. Year to date is negative $33,230, but it is it should end in the positive just based on what's actually transpiring so far through the year in the equipment replacement fund.
Jay, question on equipment replacement fund. I know a while back we talked about leasing a few dump trucks. Have those payments started coming out of this fund yet?
It doesn't show up in this report.
Yeah, those payments, I believe I'm correct to say this, they don't actually show up until next fiscal year. And then I believe we got delivery on those dump trucks maybe last week. So I will double check that, and I think we were going to try to get some logos on them and get some pictures with those trucks. So I'll check into that for you.
Okay, great, thanks.
Then you have the capital improvement fund. Of course, we got a lot of projects going on in the capital improvement fund. And just what I should have started off with, this includes the budget amendment that y'all approved in April as well. And in April, capital improvement fund is over $200,000, and year to date is over $827,000. But as far as what's been budgeted, it's expected to be over at year end. And for the information technology fund, with the budget amendment, we expect the negative balance in the information technology fund to be corrected this year, just based on the additional transfers from the other funds and our expected other revenues that we're expecting to receive to help out with the overage from the previous 2 years. And then on investments, it's just one slight correction that should have been made on the invested at the beginning of the month. That should be actually the beginning of the year. We started out with $12 million, and we had to withdraw $1 million to cover some expenses for some construction projects, and that leaves us with $11 million in investments, and we received $137.67 in investment income, which is still low due to COVID-19 impact on rates and stuff.
And Mayor and Council, just for your clarity, the CO 2018, that's the Griffith project, so that represents a closeout payment associated with that project.
Is there any questions?
Hey, Mayor, and Mr. Ayers, I just want to say this. I am quite pleased with how well that our city has been managed, particularly with this COVID-19. And I'm gonna tell you, I talked to a few other mayors and council people in Louisiana and all throughout, and man, they're struggling. They're struggling. They barely got their heads above water, and I'm quite surprised at what I see here because I really didn't expect this. I thought we were probably going to be almost wiped out with COVID-19 and with the winter storm we had. And I just want to commend our staff for really doing a fantastic job, Mr. Sims and Mr. Ayers. This is awesome. And you know what? And these financial reports are great too because I can understand it.
Thank you, sir.
Well,
All right.
one of the key components to an organization like the City of Terrell performing as well as it has is the diversity that we have within the community. We don't say it enough, but the fact that we have industrial parks and we have retail component that goes to collecting tax for the city and distribution, keeping all of our citizens employed is what makes this city great. And if you don't have that, all those components intertwined and working together to better the community, if you're just about homes or if you're just about retail or if you're just about industrial, it doesn't work. But we've been able to, over the years, bring all of that together and make it where we benefit as a city. So we should continue to make the decisions that keep us strong when others are facing difficulty and challenges with their financials. So thank you. Jay, does anybody have any questions, comments?
I guess maybe a sidebar for later for Mike or Mr. Ayers would be, we're almost to the last quarter of our fiscal year, so in sales tax has been going better than projected. So I guess eventually, sidebar is I'm kind of wondering what we think the forecast is for, or the reforecast for sales tax for the last quarter. So,
Is it okay if I give my?
So I guess I'd say we're keenly interested in the same topic, right? So that's one step. One of the things that you'll hear us chatting about in the budget retreat period of time is, what do we make of some of these spikes in sales tax that we've seen over the last month or two, right? We've only had 3 months with $1.4 million in sales tax in the history of the City of Terrell. And that was the past 2 Februarys, which represent 2019 and 2020 Christmas sales. And then a $1.7 million in May of 2021, which represents, oddly, March of 2021 sales. So are those big spikes here to stay? I kind of doubt that, right? That doesn't seem realistic, that we would suddenly keep getting those higher dollar amounts in. I've asked Jay to run a scenario for us for budget purposes that is basically taking a look at year-to-date sales tax from October through June, and then to say, okay, well, what if we only collect last year's July, August, September? What will that mean for our sales tax at end of year? And do we all need to contemplate, is that going to be realistic or is that not going to be realistic as our budget estimate for FY22, right? So that's kind of what we're thinking at this time, and we can send you a little note that kind of shows you what that math looks like.
What's the average, if you had to look back on the last maybe 3 years?
Maybe 12 to 13
Okay.
million.
I will even try to answer that with a very exact number because Jay's got it on his spreadsheet here. In FY18, we collected 10.9 million. In FY19, we collected 11.7 million. In FY20, we collected 13 million. And this year, we budgeted to collect 13.5 million. And I would say your budget amendment that we did a couple of months ago, we guesstimated that would get ourselves up to $13.8 million for this year. So your existing budget amendment is a $13.8 million in sales tax budget amendment. And so that's what we're planning on. My comment is that I don't know that I need to do a budget amendment again for additional sales tax. One of your big goals, obviously, is streets. We know we've kind of overspent that item based on that last contract that we approved. And then we really do need to be attentive to our fund balance and to make sure we pour as much money as we can into fund balance moving forward. Our ability to borrow, grow, run the kind of capital programs and make the kind of capital improvements that we need to is really dependent upon, do you have the number in the bank that Moody's is looking for, that S&P is looking for? I can tell you that Dora has spent a good chunk of time this week scheduling a meeting between me, Dawn, Jay, Jason Hughes, your financial advisor, and S&P and Moody's to do a rating of the city of Terrell. In order for us to be successful in those, we really have got to show that we're making progress on all these financial issues and cash in bank, investments in the right place, making sure that we have, Mayor, as you just mentioned, do I have the right number of days of operating reserve in the utility fund? And so we are on a little bit of a program here of doing some savings, and that's just part of doing business right now. So great question.
Thank you.
I'm on the same lines with, Congressman Royce, but Councilman Royce, and, especially looking at we're gonna go into budget retreat here and would like some more recent numbers. We're at the end of June and we had the April numbers, so I'm looking for some more recent numbers like May and June, when we're at budget retreat.
Okay.
They're updated every month, but with the staffing changes that we've had in finances, it kind of threw us off track, off our regular routine, because some people had to step up in other places to help stop the bleeding, so to speak. But I think now we're in a good spot. We're getting a lot of compliments from other departments about our staff now, so I think we should be on track to dish out these reports pretty quickly.
I would say you should think of normal. If I close a month on the 30th, then by the time I get to, say, the third week of the next month, that's more the time period. So you should be thinking, hey, about 3 weeks after the month's over, that's when JAERS is probably going to show up with that monthly report. So in this case, yeah, we're a little delayed, but I think Jay's right. I think our staffing changes are going to get us right back on track there.
Okay. Thank you, Jay. Anyone else? All right, at this time, we're